Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of CSPN. We're looking at stats, games numbers 71 through 80 here in Cheese League Baseball. And boy, did things really shift, especially in the Cheddar division in the last 10 games. Let's first look at our standings. The Grazers, Rampage, and Colonels all effectively tied for first place in the Cheddar division. The Grazers were 2-2 in their last 4 games. We've seen them the most over the last 10 games. The Rampage dropped 2 games to the Steamrollers, who are now just a half game back of the lead. The Rollers crawling up from the bottom of the division. So that's pretty remarkable. Yeah, that's been the biggest shift there. I think the big key here for especially Rampage fans, the Rampage bullpen, including Dainty Simon, who's been very solid all season, got roughed up a lot by the Steamrollers hitters. Very hot Steamrollers hitters right now. So that is something to take into consideration. The Grazers also got shut out by the Marauders. They lost to the Feudin Fowls, who you can see the Fowls are 4 games back in the Pepperjack division. We'll get to them in a moment. They did win a game over the Rampage, though. The Grazers won Game 72 over the Rampage, and they also took Game 73. So where it really counted, the Grazers came up big, 72 and 73. Yeah, very, very big games there for the Grazers, but that's the big story right now. Cheddar division is getting very interesting. You even see the Strongmen, who dropped a game to the Marauders. It's the only time we saw actually, no, they dropped their last 2 games as well. But yeah, so the just very, very interesting how things have ended up here in the Cheddar division. It is going to be down to the wire, folks. Don't count those Steamrollers out yet, because the Rollers pitching is so good. Their starting rotation is so good. Just the hitting hasn't been there to get them run support. You see the run differential there is +2 for them. So once their bats heat up, I kind of have a feeling they're going to be a team to watch here as we travel into. We have another 6 games or so of this season. So yeah, 6 or 8 games, depending. So this is something to keep an eye on. Actually, I say that, but really it's anything from like 7 games to 6 games. So we're gonna have to see how things play out over the next games. 10 games or so. I'm just looking at my notes here for the Cheddar division. I'm just flabbergasted. Like I said, Rampage fans, their bullpen roughed up quite a bit. Over the past 10 games, we've seen some incredible pitching performances too. I will say that. So it's been pretty interesting to see the pitching really dominate this late in the season. Nonetheless, we had some standout performances. The Steamrollers over the Rampage, game number 80, 12-5. Let's see, we also had, just some routes. The Marauders over the Grazers, game number 75, 6-0. A lot of shutouts. Rampage and Steamrollers, rather, game 79, 6-5. So lots of offense in that game, but a bunch of shutouts. Game number 71, 73, 75, 76, 78, all shutouts. So pretty incredible here. The pitching that we've seen. The Marauders pitching in game number 76 was pretty darn spectacular too. I would say that too for the Strongmen pitching. That game was a 1-0 win. So keep an eye on the Strongmen too. You don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, the run differential's -18, but we'll see how they line up. That is just the big news of CSPN today. Is Cheddar division is kind of up for grabs at this point. 4 teams right there. Especially with the rest of the season, the way it's going, you may even throw the Strongmen in there, but we'll have to see. Other big news is the Marauders 2-1 over their past games that we've seen them over the past 3 games. Olympians are 2-0. So they're kind of neck and neck. You see Olympians still a half game up there of the Marauders. The Warblers are 3 games back now. The Feud and Fowls 4 games back, and the Whalers, who we actually didn't see these past 10 games. The Whalers are 5 games back. So, you know, with the Olympians and Marauders, it might come down to run differential. You see they're 25-24. We're going to have to see how that ends up. And again, the Warblers are right there. There's still lots of baseball left here. Anything can happen in the last, 6 to 8 games, however many games we have left to play. So pretty darn interesting. That Cheddar division, though, folks, that is just, wow, that's pretty darn, that's wild. The Rampage, again, just surprised me in dropping the number of games that they did. I'm surprised. Actually, I take that back. The Rampage were not 0-2. They were 0-4 their last 4 games. 0-4. They lost 2 against the Grazers, and they just dropped 2 against the Steamrollers. So, holy cow. Well, that's that. Let's take a look at the league leaders here. And in batting, Randy McLongthorpe still stays at top, along with Tugger Gentry, a pair of Marauders there in terms of batting average. Davis up there as well from the Colonels, and Kyan Bakers come up with the Rampage. So lots of familiar names here. You see Kellen Moran there, hitting 380 for the Feud and Fowls. Austin as well up there. Again, the Grazers have dropped a little bit, but Austin is still up there. Langston Ali there for the Strongmen too. Tugger Gentry leads in home runs now. 6 home runs. Milana Gomez is still there. A bunch of people with 4 dingers, though. We have Torres and Ralph Briggs also up there, too, and Joaquin Buck. Gilmore had an absolute tank of a home run in game number 80. I think it was 457 feet, so definitely want to go back and check out that shot. I would say in that game, some of the Steamrollers, Banjo Crane had a couple of tanks in that series against the Rampage too, so you want to check that out. Game 79 to 80. If you haven't seen them, good ones to watch. In terms of runs batted in, Banjo Crane, there's the name, I just said it. Banjo Crane now leads in RBIs over Neil Shaw, who has led for a lot of this time throughout the Cheese League Baseball. Gentry up there as well. You know, if Gentry can just get a couple more RBIs and improve his average a little bit, we might have like a Triple Crown winner here. So this is pretty darn interesting. And the Marauders, I didn't think were going to be as good as they are, but they are just a force to be reckoned with. Especially, their pitching has been pretty good lately too. Let's take a look now at the other stats here for you. On base percentage, Aldo Davis is up there, McLongthorpe and Gentry. And you see Annika Proctor up there as well from the Steamrollers. Other notable names, Bernal. Bernal is actually hurt though, so I hope to see him back the next game for the Olympians. He had a pulled hamstring. Miles Pruitt's up there as well. And you see Marcos Lester make the appearance from the Feud and Fowls. Tugger Gentry sits atop of slugging percentage, as does Aldo Davis and Milana Gomez, and also Vincente Jeffrey. So within the top 5, a pair of Colonels there. So watch out for the Corncob crew. Again, anything's up for grabs at this point in that Cheddar division. And when we talk about OBS, of course, Tugger Gentry, Aldo Davis, McLongthorpe, you see a lot of the same names appearing there. Hits, Austin still leads the league in hits. Well, actually, no, I take that back. He's tied with McLongthorpe and Gentry. Esperanza, Ali, and Trickster all have 20 hits. Extra base hits, Gentry has 10 extra base hits, as well as Miles Pruitt. Quinto up there, the first baseman for the Marauders, and Chang also there for the first baseman for the Rampage. Any other notable names? Torres up there as well, and right fielder. Booper, Sparks, Davis, McForsham. His name appears in a couple of these lists. Strikeouts, definitely not a list you want to be a part of, and by far, Julian Park. He takes the cake in terms of strikeouts. He leads well above everyone else with 16 strikeouts. I'm actually surprised to see Hatter and Esperanza up there, but, they've played a lot lately, so shouldn't really surprise me. You see a couple of whalers down there, Wiggs and Lane as well, so just keep an eye on. Runs scored, Trickster leads with 19 runs scored. We have Lester and then Moran Plows, Booper, and Webb all have 13. Stolen bases, Langston Ali leads the league in stolen bases with 14. Those strongmen, they do like to run. Proctor's up there with 6 stolen bases. That's always surprising to me, but she runs quite well. And Raina McLongthorpe, she had a pair of stolen bases, I believe, in one game. So that's something to keep an eye on. Good old Marauders there. Caught stealing, and, you know, it's another list you don't want to be a part of. Let's go to pitching now. And Dainty Simon is no longer the league leader in wins. Finley Oldham. He had the, I think it was a complete game shutout against the Strongman, game number 78, 4-0 win. So Oldham, 4 wins. You see Raymundo Gordon, he got the complete game win over the Strongmen the other day in game number 76. That is a good one to watch. Very good pitching, I would say, all around on both sides. So that's pretty darn good pitching performance there from the Marauders, and Harmony Sacred up there as well. And then you look at some of these other teams, you know, BK Griffin and Hammond and Clements, and a lot of people there with 2 wins. So the Warblers, you never know where they're going to end up. Let's take a look now at ERA. Finley Oldham leads the league in ERA, 1.65. Raymundo Gordon up there as well. And there's Clarissa Newman and Cardasco Schroeder, the Whalers and the Steamrollers. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I think the Whalers pitching is much better, and I think the Steamrollers pitching staff actually might be the best in the league. But we'll see how that plays out the rest of the year. Saves, Dickerson from the Marauders is the top spot there alongside Graham with saves, and you see Bree up there, and there's some other folks as well, save leaders. In terms of whip, Oldham up there again. Just want to take a look at something. Oldham is very close. He's going to be like whatever our Cy Young candidate is. I still have not figured that part out. We're going to figure this out by the end of the season, though, what our trophies and our awards are called. But Oldham's up there as like our Cy Young candidate. Newman's up there as well. Look at that. Newman and Gordon and Schroeder all tied with whip. And again, some more Marauders pitchers showing up. Bud Benetti, Cardasco Schroeder, and you see Newman and also Hazard up there in terms of opponent batting average. Those pitching staffs are much, much better than. And then they lead on. Strikeouts, Osborne leads the league in strikeouts. Newman and Gordon are right behind. Then you see Bo Lawson fouls. So it's good stuff. And here's some more stats for you. Strikeouts per 9, walks per 9, and strikeout to walk ratio. You just see a lot of the same names up here. Frazier and Oliver and Raymond there on the strikeouts per 9, the top 3, and Gordon and Farley and Oldham for walks. And then strikeout to walk ratio, pair of Marauders players right up top. We're back to batting, so let's take a look at our teams now. Let's go to Steamrollers, and let's take a look at their stats. Dozen Rolls has been juiced, as was Chuck Rocket the past couple games. I would say they didn't really factor much into things. Banjo Crane is the big standout. He really just he just destroyed the baseball the past couple games. Again, league leader in RBIs. There's some stats. Would like to see a little more production out of Alex Clark, although she did have a couple of hits the other day. I would say Dozen Rolls and Clark, and definitely Banjo Crane. Definitely need to step it up. But yeah, Cabrera hitting quite well off the bench, their backup catcher. So that's how things are lining up there. Again, you see these these Steamrollers pitchers, and you look at their ERAs, 2, 4, 4, 6, you know, like pretty darn good ERAs there. Bud Benetti got I believe his first win of the season. Yes, he did. He's 1-3 on game number 79, and Pokemana got pulled in game number 80, but nonetheless he pitched well. He still sits at 0-2. There was a lot of balls. Can't have that happen. And I believe it was Nixon that got the win in that game. Clementine Silva also got her first save the other day. I believe that was game number 79. So, bottom line for Steamrollers is that their hitting needs to stay hot. Again, they won 12-5 over the Rampage in game number 80 and 6-5 over the Rampage in game number 79. So they need to stay hot. Those hitters need to remain hot, and we're going to see if those hitters and the pitching staff kind of all combine, all kind of coalesce at once. We could have a dangerous situation there on our hands. Let's take a look now at the strongmen. And again, the strongmen over the past couple games, they lost to the Marauders and they lost to the Olympians. And that was it. Those are the only 2 games that they played. They've actually lost their last, 5 games. They're 1-4 over their last 5 games. So strongmen are struggling right now, though they're lifted up definitely by Langston Ali, and Hilldown was pretty solid, and Corker as well. But we need some more production for sure out of View, and Tucker Bauer's starting to pick things up and hit a little bit better. It's good. Bauer's probably the best base stealer in the league. We just haven't really seen him get on base too much, so it's things to keep an eye on. Their pitchers have gotten roughed around. I know Wedge Gallegos actually pitched quite well for them the other day, even though I believe he got the loss in that game. And for Cynthia O'Donnell as well, she got the loss in the game with the Olympians. So, I mean, to keep the Olympians lineup to 4, to lose that game 4-0, the Olympians lineup is just a powerhouse lineup. So, kudos there to their bullpen. You know, Wise and Gilbert got roughed around quite a bit. Moving on to the Warblers. As said, we've seen them past couple of games. They lost game 77 against the Olympians. They won over the Marauders, though, game 71. Those are actually the only games that we saw of them this time around. They're 1-1 these past 10 games. Let's see. In terms of Warblers, Ian Duke got the loss. So, Nick Hammond, though. Nick Hammond got the win, improved his record to 2-2. That was game 71, where the Warblers won 5-0 over the Marauders. Again, very, very good hitting team. So those ERAs don't really tell the full story for the Warblers. Those are really, really good ERAs in their bullpen, or in their starting rotation, and I would say even their bullpen. Drew Clemens gets hit around quite a bit. But you gotta look at these, you know, Barneswell's kind of carrying the team. Holloway, well, no, Holloway's a bench player, but need more production out of Rose and Charles for sure. I think those guys were juiced the past couple of games too, and Watson has been hitting a little bit better, but nonetheless, Nico McLongthrow has definitely been hitting better. You know, he came up with some timely hits the past couple of games for them, so things to watch out for. Again, anything can happen with the Warblers in the Pepperjack division. You just don't know where these teams are going to end up over the next couple of games. Now on to the Whalers. We haven't seen the Whalers actually in the past 10 games. They've kind of had a little bit of a break, so we'll see what happens. I know previously they lost, they dropped 2 of their last 3 games, but we'll see when we come back to the Whalers how rested they feel, how their bullpen feels. Again, they have very good pitching up front. Just the hitting needs to kind of pick things up a little bit. We know we see Cole Lane's name up there for various things, and Ralph Briggs as well, but maybe for all the wrong reasons. They have a lot of strikeouts, but we'll see what happens with the Whalers as we go forward. The way the season's playing out now is that there's a lot more series games, I would say, like we just saw 79 and 80, Rampage and Rollers playing those two games, so a lot more series games coming, not as spread out, not as random, I would say. So that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot of the same team playing multiple times, kind of like we saw the Grazers play a bunch and Rampage and the Rollers play a bunch, so something to keep in mind. Feud and Fouls, they lost their, or I'm sorry, they won their only game over the Grazers. That was game number 74. They won 4-3 over the Grazers, actually. So, you know, not a lot of action from them. Let's see, Lawson pitched that game, and I believe Lawson got the no decision. I forget who actually got the win that game. Might have been Humphrey. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. The Fouls, their pitching staff is rough, with the exception of Bo Lawson, which is why they won that game. You see Lawson's ERA is 2.95. That's pretty darn good. Once you get into their bullpen with Melton and Kruger, well, Kruger's ERA is up there now too, but Melton has been lights out for them pretty much all season. So things to keep an eye on with them is Moran has been very hot as of late. Slow's been picking things up, as McForsham has, and Lester is their star player, so definitely things to keep an eye on as we go through these next 10 games. See when the Fouls are up. They sit a couple of games back now. I think it was 5 games back, actually, at the bottom of the Pepperjack division. But again, anything can happen in the next 6 to 8 games. This has been the biggest shift here, the Grazers. This has absolutely been the biggest shift in the past. Past couple games. You know, the Grazers 2-2. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. Osborne, I believe, got the loss in that game that she pitched. No, actually, she got the no decision. That was game number 75. They were shut out by the Marauders. Dixon, he got the loss against the Fouls, but then they had 2 real good games against the Rampage, actually. They won both those games, 5-2 and 4-0. Actually shut out the Rampage in game number 73. You see Alejandro Raymond got his first win of the year, despite the inflated ERA. And Hetty Robertson also got her the second win of the year there, game number 72. So the Grazers have kind of been up and down. It's kind of hard to kind of pin them down. They are led by lots of really big hitting by Austin and Esperanza, and Torres, who's been pretty good lately. But then you have Stevenson, who's done nothing for them, and Hatter's actually been hitting a little bit better, but you know, Class Sparks has been solid. So up and down that lineup, you got a lot of good hitters. It's just all about that timely hitting. Like I said, they dropped 2 games. They dropped a game to the Fouls, and then they dropped a game to the Marauders. So something to keep an eye on for them. I would like to see more, like really, I have a feeling that it's going to be Austin and Esperanza and some of these big name star players here who are going to be carrying that team. But you know, Osborne and Robertson and Dixon have been pretty solid in terms of, and Houndstooth have been pretty good for them in terms of starters. Just run production needs to come out of that too. So that's something to think about for the Grazers. Colonels, our team, I didn't think the Colonels would be anywhere. Honestly, I'm surprised by the Colonels because we hadn't seen them play over the past 10 games, but you know, the fact that they're just kind of sitting back and letting things happen in the Cheddar division is pretty darn interesting, and they're right in it. They are absolutely in it, and it's pretty darn interesting to see where where they're landing right now. Davis and Gangnam are their big hitters for sure. They are kind of carrying the team, so keep an eye on them over the next 10 games as we see more of the Colonels play. Look at these ERAs, though, especially out of, Gresham Dawson, who's just been great. Park, Linguino's been roughed around a little bit, but and Kramer's gotten three saves, so definitely things to keep an eye on. You get Harmony Sacred in there as your starter, or even, Burdock has been pitching better. These are just low ERAs for this team, for a team that's not really hitting well. I mean, outside of Davis, outside of Gangnam, and even I would say Thicket and Hendricks up there, they're not hitting well at all. But it's just timely hitting. That's what's really carrying the Colonels, and we'll see where they end up. Marauders, the Marauders, 2-1 over their last 3 games. They won big over the Strongmen. That was that 1-0 win where Raymundo Gordon, talked about him, got his 3rd win. And let's see, who else for the Marauders? Chip Oliver got the no decision, but pitched well. That 6-0 win, game number 75 over the Grazers. They did drop a game. Yoft, actually, got his first loss in the season. That was game number 71, Warblers and Marauders. They lost, got shut out, actually. So, their team to watch. Raina McLongthrops continues to, and Tugger Gentry just continue to just dominate and carry this team. But Liu's been stepping it up. Klausman's has been hitting better. I'm gonna say Buck has been hitting better too, and Quinto as well. So some folks to definitely keep an eye on. Actually, Tater Pepperoni's has really upped his average too. You can see 283 now, so great for Pepperoni's. Von Crum's been roughed around in the bullpen, but good thing they actually haven't had to use their bullpen too much. Once they get to their starters and then get to Dickerson, it's kind of lights out for them. Last couple teams here. The Olympians 2-0 their last couple of games. They won over the Warblers and won over the Strongmen. So that's how things are looking for them. They're just a solid team. Finley Oldham got his 4th win of the season. You see that. Let's see, who else? Clary. Clary got her 2nd win. Game 77 over the Warblers. And again, this team has just been so solid throughout the year. There's really not much I have to say about them. Like a little more production out of Bulls and, out of Fallon Panada, but they're right there. Blaze has been blazing out of that bullpen, let me tell you. And on to the Rampage, the last team to look at here. They dropped, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They were 0-4 over these last 10 games. 0-4. So, holy cow, did the Rampage drop off. Again, they lost 2 in a big series. Game 72 and 73. Lost 2 to the Grazers, their division rival, and then they lost 2 to the Steamrollers in their division as well. So, just really roughed up. The big stories here are their bullpen and how bad their bullpen got roughed up. I mean, we've seen some inflated ERAs here from Newman and Simon and Frazier, and even Buchanan, who got roughed around and lost his game against the Steamrollers. Check. See, Jet Check as well. Lost the game against the Steamrollers. Kramer lost the game against the Grazers. And Vicente Sims lost the game against the Grazers again. So the bullpen and the pitching staff has just been roughed around so much. So definitely something, if you're a Rampage fan, that's the one thing I would keep in mind, is their pitching staff has been roughed around. Now, their hitting, hitting has actually been a tough spot for them too. I mean, they only scored 2 runs in the whole series against the Rampage, and they scored 10 runs in the series against the Steamrollers. But the Steamrollers scored 18 runs in that series, so just things to keep in mind as we go over these next end of the season, I would say. Go back now, last 6 to 8 games, and we end the season. But again, just things to keep an eye on. Grazers, Rampage, Colonels, Steamrollers even. Surprisingly, the Steamrollers all right there, and all these teams are under 500. That's just so shocking. You know, if it comes down to it, and we got Olympians and Marauders and Grazers and Rampage, or Grazers and Colonels, or Colonels and Rampage, it's going to be a really interesting season. But I wouldn't count the Warblers out either, because you never know about them. They could come back in these next 10 games, whenever they play. They could really make a dent too. So that is how everything is lining up. Stats here in standings, games 71 through 80. Thank you so much for watching this stats video. You know, we're going to improve these videos next season for sure. And actually, there's going to be some announcements coming up about some other projects that we're working on here in Cheese League Baseball. So we'll improve these CSPN videos for sure moving forward. But nonetheless, just like talking to you guys and talking through some of the stats of these fake baseball players. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in next time to game number 81. It's coming up. And be sure to like this video, subscribe to us on Geek Cheese on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at geek_cheese. Until next time, folks, take care. Bye.